Do you ever finish a creative project and then feel far too nervous to share it? It hasn't turned out quite how you'd expected in your head, and you're nervous that it's just not good enough? Yeah, me too. It happens all the time. I create a lot of art for this channel, and not everything makes the cut. Sometimes I don't like it and I don't feel it's good enough to put out there in the big wide world. Sometimes it maybe doesn't fit the narrative of the story that I'm trying to tell in a certain video. Sometimes I just make it and then forget about it. Well, today I have grabbed a whole load of those and I am sharing them with you today. I'm being brave and sharing them with you today, not because they're perfect or amazing, but sometimes there is value in sharing things that have been staying hidden for a while. Shall we go check them out? Creating this video has been somewhat of a very interesting exercise, and there has been some interesting lessons learned that I was not expecting. So at the time of me creating most of these pages, I didn't like them for one reason or another, and then chose not to share them in my videos. They got edited out as not good enough for the video. However, looking back on them now, I realised that that was probably more to do with headspace than it was to do with the actual creative work. So for example, this one was created for a video called 3 Ways to Use Alcohol Markers in Your Journal. I was just creating a background with alcohol markers, using my stencils, doing some mark making, bit of isopropyl there. And the idea was that I would then use the bleed through on the back of the page to create a second page. Now by this point, this was attempt number 2, because when I came to editing, I realised that this was the second page I had attempted. I'd forgotten that because I must have got torn out my journal. So I think I was already probably in a bit of a funk by the time I was creating this page. And whilst it was vastly better to the one that I'd created before, my brain was probably just in the fact of like, oh, I can't do this. Whereas in reality, I think I put it together quite an interesting page. It's quite different for me. I've clearly pushed myself outside my comfort zone, and I actually quite like the result. So I end up pairing the background that I created with this dye. I turned it black so that it would stand out from the page, and created it almost as a little frame for the gorgeous Lady Prickles to sit upon. Now, I think as well, I didn't share this page because the reverse page that I ended up doing, I wasn't overly happy with. So it ended up, although this one probably would have got shared, I think that it ended up just being sort of edited out. But I actually, looking at it now, really like the way it pops off the page, and I think it is really fun. I ended up putting the other half of the frame just down the bottom, which I think was really good. I think it just helped to balance the page overall and just kind of made it look more compositionally appealing. So once I had done that, I finished off as I would normally do, edging it all in black to give it a nice frame. If you do that, it helps the eye look at your artwork instead of all over the place, which is useful when we've spent quite a bit of time creating art. Finally, I add these little butterflies in and just decide to add a few more details just to kind of tie it all together. And of course, those details do require the use of a white pen. So we're kind of, because the blending wasn't great in the background there, we've just kind of added a few white dots to make it work, and a little bit of a sentiment. And we've got choose calm, fly free. And actually looking at this now, I really like this page and wish I'd shared it sooner. So a lesson is, quite often you maybe just need to step away from your work and check it out again at a later date. This video I've never made. It was, the idea behind it was the benefits of having a tiny journal, and I just did 2 quick pages in it, and I was going to do some more and make a whole video on that theme, and for some reason I've never continued it. I think I just didn't think that these as opening pages were particularly great, but actually looking back on them, they were quite cute. And the reason behind, or the idea behind these particular pages, was just to use what was on your desk. So, you know, sometimes you've had a crafty little session and then you've maybe got stencils on your desk and different pens and markers, and I normally have my bit box full of stuff, and just before you clean up you can grab this tiny journal, because it doesn't take much to put a little page together, and use sort of the leftovers on your desk that are already there, so you're not having to think about what am I going to do with this page. It's almost like a creative cleanup. I used to like doing that a lot when I had, like, I used to make more cards, and then at the end of making the cards I would just pull all the scraps together and make something else with it. And as I said, it was a creative way of tidying up. all for avoiding cleaning at all costs. So I took this little guy from a bit box. He is from the Monster Mania digital collection, and he's got a little funky scene behind him, and actually he's quite cute. So I didn't think this was good for an opening page. I don't know, because now I really like it, and now I think maybe we should go back and revisit that idea of creating in a tiny journal. The second page was also a nice simple page. What I decided to do was do a little bit of stamp embossing. So I am stamping up this background stamp using my VersaFine Clear and pop it in a couple of different places on the page. I chose to use white because I am working with a resist idea. So you can't see much now, but it's going to be amazing in just a second. See, once we start putting the colour on and that resist is revealed, it's just lush. I love doing that. It's such a fun technique. I don't use my embossing powders nearly enough. I think we maybe need to do a video where we look at lots of different stamping techniques. Again, I just reached into my bit box. We had this gorgeous Buzzy Blooms that had the same sort of blue as the background I created. Pink bees, because that is perfectly normal. Doodly border, and again, this is a really cute page, so I don't know why I never completed the video with this concept. If you would like to see it, let me know, because I might just go ahead and finish the video. But isn't it really cute? I love it. Now this one's okay. I really don't, yeah, it's okay. This one I created for the video where I was comparing alcohol markers with acrylic markers. And whilst I like how this one turned out, I felt that the point I was trying to make, so the point I was trying to make was, I love acrylic markers, I love alcohol markers, but when you put them together, that's where the magic happens. And I think I was trying so hard in this particular page to make sure that the two work together that I maybe constrained myself a little bit artistically, and I might have just done a better job if I was just playing for my own sake. And I worked out that one of the other pieces that I had created in the past, my little Tinkerbell piece, actually emphasised the point more. So sometimes when you're creating a video, the narrative is better with another piece of art that you have created. I am fortunate now that I have been on YouTube for quite some time, so I do have quite the back catalogue, and I can pull out pieces that I have done before and edit them into videos. And whilst this is really cute, and I think it's a lovely page in my journal, and we end up creating a gorgeous Brock effect, I think the point I was trying to make for that particular video was just made better with a different piece of artwork. So this has been sat in my files ready to be used again at a later date, and it seemed appropriate to kind of pop it into this video. This is me trying out the Baroque technique. I start off using my blender pen, then I use some yellow pen because that seems to push the ink away as well, and then I come in with some paint pens as well. I use this technique where I black out, or I white out, that's probably better, white out the lines. In this case I'm putting gold over the lines, and I do think it really helps your image to sink into the page, where you can kind of put out some of the lines with your acrylic markers. And I do genuinely love using both my alcohol and acrylic markers together. And I think this page turned out really cute in the end. And I'm glad I've shared it with you today, because actually she's really pretty. Her cheeks are quite rosy, but overall she's really pretty. I think had I not been making that video, I'd have gone in with pastels to lower that down. But you never know. This one I actually love, and I loved when I created it as well. This was me making a page for the storybook video that I did, and this was me doing Pippy Longstocking. And again, it was more in this particular case that whilst I actually love the page, it's a nice simple page, and I'm using one of the stamps from Nicola from Stamptageous, that it didn't fit the narrative. Whilst I loved Pippy Longstocking, I didn't have sort of an emotional story connected to it. So in the video I talk about Folk in the Faraway Tree and how my granddad bought me the book and my connection to my granddad, and I talk about The Borrowers and how that was the first books that my mum started reading to us when we were children, rather than like short stories. And then Tinkerbell, that had a connection with my daughter. And whilst I love the Pippy Longstocking, there was no sort of emotional storyline to it, so I didn't feel that this page, although I loved it, fit into that particular video. So again, it seemed an appropriate one to share on this one because it was sat there and it was a fun page, and I really would like to share it with you. So how about you? Do you have pages and things that you are nervous to share? To be honest, I would go back, take another look at them, because you might find out that they're not as bad as that you thought in the moment. I think that's really what I have learned from creating this video, is to step away, because I have shared ones that at the time I really was not happy with, and now I'm looking at it going, why are you not happy with them? They're absolutely fine. So sometimes the best thing to do is walk away and see it with fresh eyes. Sometimes it might be that you're like, oh, I know what that needs. So for example, I said like the cheeks in that girl, I think I might knock those back a little bit with pastels at some point. So you either see what it needs, or you just see it with fresh eyes and realise, you know what, in that moment, my headspace wasn't overly positive and I was looking at it with a critical eye. So yeah, let's pull out our old artworks and be proud of everything we achieve. Not everything has to be a masterpiece. If we've had fun creating it, if we have learned something along the way, then it has been a success. It doesn't matter at all. So I hope you've enjoyed looking at these past examples. Do you have a favourite? And was I right to be hiding them for all these years? Thank you so much for watching today as I shared the things that have been hidden away for a while, and I hope it helps you to be a little bit brave about sharing your artwork too. If you're interested in seeing the videos that I mentioned today, then you will see those come up next, and I will see you guys next Friday. Take care. Bye.